San Francisco, CBS SF AP, Lyft and Uber received a reprieve in from an appeals court Thursday, hours before the ride-hailing giants looked to shut down California operations stemming from a recent court ruling over the classification of drivers. Earlier, the companies looked at shutting down their operations in the Golden State by the end of the day, after a San Francisco Superior Court judge issued an injunction last week saying the companies must reclassify drivers as employees. "This is not something we wanted to do, as we know millions of Californians depend on Lyft for daily, essential trips," Lyft said Thursday in a statement before the stay was issued. According to the Sacramento Bee, Uber was also set to shut down operations in the Golden State late Thursday night, barring court intervention. Last week, CEO Dara Khosrowshahi said his company could also shut down its California operations over the ruling. "This ruling granted them a longer pause on the injunction against them," said Dara Kerr, senior reporter at CNET. "The pause allowed the companies to continue classifying drivers as independent contractors and not full-time employees with benefits as required by Assembly Bill 5 AB 5. The fight now moves to Election Day and the battle over Proposition 22, a ballot measure funded by the companies, which would continue to classify drivers as independent contractors. Drivers protested outside Uber headquarters on Market Street in San Francisco Thursday ahead of the court ruling. "This model of business that takes away workers' rights just because they work for an app can spread through any other industry," driver Edan Alva told KPIX 5. "Vacations, workers' compensation, paid sick days, so that's why we're asking for that, but this company instead of helping us, they put hundreds of millions of dollars on a ballot," Hector Castellanos, who drives for Uber and Lyft. San Francisco District 3 Supervisor Aaron Peskin says this isn't about ride-sharing, but rights. "It's all a political ploy. Even if they had shut down tomorrow, this is about trying to get voters in San Francisco and the state of California not to recognize workers' rights," he said. California represents a substantial chunk of both companies' businesses. It accounted for 9% of Uber's worldwide rides before the pandemic caused people to avoid traveling. The state is even more important to Lyft, which doesn't operate outside of the U.S. besides Canada. California accounted for 21% of Lyft's rides before the pandemic, but that figure dropped to 16% during the April to June period as more people stayed at home and there were few places to go. The unavailability of the two ride-hailing services also would have delivered another blow to the California economy by taking away the paychecks of Uber and Lyft drivers while also making it more difficult for people without cars to get around.